I'm a big fan of the YouTube channel.
It's going to be a great time.
No, it's already a great time. The views are crazy already.
I think it's because of this one.
I think it's her.
It's
her.
Ella, that the people want Ella.
You've done thousands of closings for us.
Something like that, yeah.
You've done a lot of things for us. You're head of client experience.
Yes.
You know, you started off a receptionist.
I know,
right?
I know.
So you've been with us for how many years now?
Almost 6.
What are the most important things that you cover in a closing?
Yeah.
Right? You've got all these packages and papers, and you're like, look, if it's my closing, these are the things I care about, I want to go over.
Totally. I love it. That's a great question. So I would say like the most important things are one, like, what's my payment and how do I make the payment? How does it work? Is anything included in my payment, like my taxes, my insurance? What's not included? Sometimes people are surprised to hear that their HOA payment is not included with the escrow. Sometimes they can assume it will be because they're escrowing for their taxes and insurance. Yep. The other big things people care about are the title. They're kind of expecting like a car title because I now own the house and it's like
a piece of paper.
Right.
Hey, where's that piece of paper?
Exactly. And I'm like, oh, it is a piece of paper. I actually even had a buyer last week who wasn't from here. She was moving from, Taiwan, I want to say, and she thought the deed itself looked funny because in her country it looked more like a car title. She's like, hold on, I need to take a picture of this and send it to my parents. So people are always curious about their title. What does it look like? When will I get it? Their payment, their deed, and their deed of trust. They want to know about the deed of trust and where does that go? Where does that information go? Sometimes people are really shocked to learn that it's actually public record. So then we go into what that looks like.
Well, let's jump into some of these details. So number one, you mentioned title. So there isn't a piece of paper of title.
Right.
Like, explain what the title is for these people.
Yeah, exactly. So I tell them, the title to your home proves that you are the owner, and people like to have something tangible. So we've started printing out the deed that the seller signed before the buyer got to the closing table, and I show it to them. I go, this is quite literally your title. This is your deed. This is what proves that you are the owner of the property. And that really excites them.
So something I've heard people ask before, what's the difference between a deed of trust and a mortgage?
Great question, Latney. Those are actually the same thing.
So, a lot of times people are like, what do you mean deed of trust and the mortgage is the same thing?
Right.
And the deed of the trust and the deed are not the same thing.
Exactly.
Tell us that.
The way I tell people, I go, the deed is what proves your ownership. The deed of trust confirms that as the owner of the property, you also have a financial instrument that you are obligated to pay. Your home is being used as the collateral if you choose not to make those payments.
Yep.
And then that makes more sense to people.
I like it. Things that people just are very surprised about.
Yeah.
Right? Let's talk about a little bit about those, such as
For
public
sure.
record, right?
Yes. People are shocked at times to learn that their mortgage is actually public record. Some people might ask, like, well, how can I make sure my address won't be shown anywhere? And it's like, it doesn't actually work that way. Your mortgage is public record. And while we're talking about that, here are some unfortunate fraud tactics that can take place because your mortgage is public record. Yeah. That's
and kind of jump into those.
Yeah.
Like, so is that the vacant land scam or
this would be more, I'll talk to them about the servicing of their mortgage. I'll say, your loan originator obviously created this mortgage, but before you have your first payment due, your loan is likely going to be sold. And because your mortgage is public record, you might get some fraudulent letters in the mail saying, hi, I'm Wells Fargo. I'm your new servicer, make your payments to me. So that's when I'll encourage people to say, you want to go back to your original loan officer who originated this loan and have them confirm with you directly that who they sold it to. And I'll tell them that originator can track your mortgage, whether it's been sold once or 10 times.
That is a really good point. I mean, that is something I actually have not thought about in terms of one of the scams available on the servicing side of things.